This is good. It just tilted. I think down it's all of it is not open. Stand.
Don't hide.
It's tilted. No height. It's okay.
Oh,
It's okay. Leave it. Let's start. It's late. I guess this stands are not open properly. Please, just check if everything is properly open. Better. Okay, Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone for the Bhakti Shastri course. Very nice to see all of you on time. So let's begin. Just check on internet, this YouTube if the audio is proper. This also can be switched off. Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namo Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. युग धर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. So welcome everyone once again for the Bhakti Shastri course. I hope all of you are enthusiastic since it's day one. So we are starting. There are 6 modules, as all of you know, 6 units, and we're starting with the first one, that is Bhagavad Gita. I would like to start with the first question: that why you want to do Bhakti Shastri? What is the goal of Bhakti Shastri? To become Shastri. Why we want to do Bhakti Shastri? बोलिए फटाफट. To go deep in philosophy, yes. Hmm. Oh, for second initiation, you need Bhakti Shastri. Okay.
To understand Prabhupada's purpose in deep,
Okay.
it will help us in preaching also.
Correct. Correct. Understand Prabhupada's purpose in deep. Hmm. To understand things as it is. Oh. Yes, Bhagavad Gita as it is. Prabhuji's? Deeper aspects of bhakti. Yes. Actually, Bhakti Shastri, all of us are doing for all this, and by doing all this, Srila Prabhupada will be pleased. That's the ultimate goal of Bhakti Shastri, to please Srila Prabhupada. He wanted every disciple of his to go deep in Shastra, especially these scriptures, Bhagavad Gita. We were covering 4 books in this: Bhagavad Gita, Isopanishad, Nectar of Devotion, and Nectar of Instruction. And Prabhupada said that these books are very, very important. And once we are clear with this philosophy, we will see that we'll be able to go deep in our practice. And when we read Bhagavatam, at that time it will be more relishing. So we dedicate the entire course to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We seek his blessings. Without his blessing and mercy, we cannot do this course for sure. So with this mood, let's offer Mangalacharan, begging and praying to the Guru Parampara to empower us so that we understand the crux of devotional service. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatam vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. So it's a very nice time early in the morning when half of Bangalore might be sleeping. And here we have sincere devotees who have come for a course. So I'm very fortunate to be among sincere devotees. And I would request all of you also that please meditate on this point. We're sitting amongst sincere devotees. Qualification to come for this course is 16 rounds and 4 relative principles, which all of you are following. So very fortunate. So we are going to spend 2.5 hours together on every Saturday morning. So try your best, to get absorbed, in this 2.5 hours. Try to go deep. Try to contemplate, on various things, those are spoken here. And we'll be reading directly from the book. All of you should have Bhagavad Gita. So I'll not be displaying verses, and some verses I'll display, but mostly we'll be reading from the purports and try to go deeper, in the purports. So you can mark also in the book. You can do that. So there is no restriction as such. You can mark with a pencil or pen. You can make notes side by side wherever you feel, some important points are made. So you can do that. So let's begin first with the Mahatmya. Please repeat. Mala nirmochanam pumsam jalasnanam dine dine sakrat geetamrita snanam samsara malanashanam. So we'll read, like this in sequence. So Mike can pass on like this. We can start with Supriya Mata. You can give the mic. Yes, please read the translation.
One may cleanse himself daily by taking a bath in water, but if one takes a bath even once in the sacred Ganges water of Bhagavad Gita, from him the dirt of material life is altogether vanished.
Yes, so we will take bath every single day. But when we dip ourselves in Bhagavad Gita, what happens is samsara malanashanam. See, finally, we have to break the cycle of birth and death. And there are so much of contamination that comes, from the material world. So Bhagavad Gita is such a scripture. If read, if understood, if applied, it will cleanse the dirt in the heart. So now, when we're going to go through the entire Bhagavad Gita, this is what is going to happen. PPTs, eh? Oh. This is there in the introduction. Last few pages are there. All these things are there. Sarvopanishado gao Dogdha Gopalanandana Partho Vatsaha Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat. Yes.
This Gita Bhagavad Gita, the essence of all the Upanishads, is just like a cow. And Lord Krishna, who is famous as a cowherd boy, is milking this cow. Arjuna is just like a cow. And learned scholars and pure devotees are to drink the nectarian milk of Bhagavad Gita.
Yes. So all this you'll find in page number 29 of Bhagavad Gita 29. There are 7 Mahatmyas which are given. So here it is said that all the scriptures, or the Bhagavad Gita, the essence of all Upanishads, just like the cow. And then Lord Krishna is Gopa. So cow, we have a cow, we have a Gopa, and Arjuna is the calf. And the learned scholars and pure devotees are drinking the nectarian milk of Bhagavad Gita. Now here is a very important point to note. See, there are many, many people who read Bhagavad Gita. Even all of us also might have read, right? But all of us agree that when it comes to understanding Bhagavad Gita nicely, by our own self, it's very difficult. So why there's a calf needed for getting milk from the cow? Why so? The motherly affection will come, right? So similarly, when we have a pure devotee, so by pure devotee's mercy, the mercy of the Lord flows and we'll be able to understand the nectarian Bhagavad Gita. So we're taking shelter of Prabhupada here to understand Bhagavad Gita, and by his mercy as a pure devotee, he is the calf and we'll be able to drink the milk then. Yes? Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Geetam Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva Eko Mantrastasya Namani Yani Karmapya Ekam Tasya Devasya Seva.
Let there be one common scripture for the whole world, Bhagavad Gita. Let there be one God for the whole world, Sri Krishna, and one hymn, one mantra, one prayer, the chanting of his name. And let there be one work, the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Bus. That's it. One scripture, Devaki Putra Gitam. Now, many times when people say Gita, they say, which Gita? There's so many Gitas. So very clearly, Devaki Putra Gita. That is Gita by Lord Sri Krishna. So Bhagavad Gita is talking about. So there's only one scripture. Second, who is that great personality who is worshipable? Our Lord Devaki Putra, that is Krishna. Third, now what are we supposed to chant? The Maha Mantra or the mantra, the holy names of the Lord. Tasya Namani, his holy names. And finally, what work am I supposed to do? And here it is very clearly given. That is serve the Lord. Karma api ekam. Tasya devasya seva. So what is that karma that you're supposed to do? Serve the Lord. So this entire Bhagavad Gita, so what we're going to do in this course is understand Prabhupada's purports deeply, and along with that, we're also going to understand some commentaries from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Baldev Vidyabhushan. If you open page number 31, the disciplic succession. 31 page number, disciplic succession. So there you will find these persons. See, this is our parampara, starting from Krishna till Srila Prabhupada. So there, 27th is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and 28th is Baldev Vidyabhushan. So these two personalities have given amazing commentaries. In fact, someday we can discuss about them, how glorious they are and how exalted they are. See, we cannot write commentaries. We can just do time pass. We can just speculate. But these personalities who are writing commentaries, we have to understand they're empowered by the Lord and they're realized souls. And their commentaries are in line with what Lord has given and what the other acharyas have given. And in our in this entire course, we'll see that how Prabhupada has got as it is mode. I'll try to prove that in our course, that how Prabhupada is picking up from these acharyas and presenting the concept to all of us. And all of you are preachers or going to be preachers. So when you understand this with faith and full confidence, you can preach. You can actually give the message. Yes, it is as it is. So let's begin with Baldev Vidyabhushan Prabhu's commentary. So he compares Bhagavad Gita to be a treasure box. Read one thing.
The Gita is divided into three groups of 6 chapters. The first 6 chapters, the Jiva and
Amsha.
an Amsa of the Lord, is shown to have a Swarupa to be employed in the devotion of the Lord. The
Amshi.
the Amshi source of the Jiva. The first 6 chapters show that realization of the nature of Jiva is accomplished by Niskama Karma, which contains within it jnana.
Yes. So basically, it's a treasure box. So treasure box will have two parts, right? Down the container, up the lid, and the treasure inside. So down the container which is there is compared to this. So there are 3 parts of Bhagavad Gita. So the below part that is there is compared to the first 6 chapters of Gita. And in the first 6 chapters, Nishkama Karma Yoga is spoken. And this is basically what? Nishkama Karma Yoga, to realize the nature of the Jiva. So that is spoken in the first 6 chapters, majorly.
The middle 6 chapters is Bhakti, the means of attaining the Lord, who is the source of the Jivas and the supreme object of attainment, also with a revelation of the Lord's power, is explained. In the last 6 chapters, the true nature of the Lord and the other items which were previously mentioned are described in detail. All 3 groups of chapters have indications of karma, jnana, and bhakti. But by predominance of the subjects of these chapters, they have been described here.
So the upper part is Jnana, that is the last 6 chapters. So below is Nishkama Karma Yoga, above is Jnana Yoga, and in between there is treasure, and that is Bhakti Yoga. It's a very nice thing to note that this below part and above part, now obviously they are good, they're important, and they help us to understand various things. But the middle part is very important, Bhakti, which is actually the treasure. Why? Because it tells us the means of attaining the Lord first, and then who is the source of the jivas. See, in the Jnana Yoga section or Karma Yoga section, max to max, what one can realize is this. That is, I am jiva. That's what we said read here, right? It's Amsha. It talks about Amsha of the Lord. And here it's very nicely spoken about who is the source of the jivas and supreme object of attainment, along with a revelation of Lord's powers. So, more description about the Lord and the process of bhakti to attain Him. That's what is there as a treasure. But now, Krishna speaks something very important in the last chapter, right? 18th chapter. Which loka? Sarva dharman paritejya. So how come it is at the top? It should be inside, no? If the treasure box, it should be inside. Then the Acharya says, at the end of Gita, there is a statement of bhakti in the form of complete surrender. So what is this? This is like a short inscription written on the top of the jewel box indicating its contents. So basically, it is given. What is there in this? This Sarva Dharman Paritej. How to surrender to the Lord. That treasure is there in this particular thing. That's what is given. So we'll read. This was Baldev Vidya Bhushan. He's talking about treasure box. Shila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Please read.
Bhakti Yoga is placed between Karma and Jnana Yoga because of its confidential nature, because of its superiority by which it is able to give life to other two, and because of its being most rare. And moreover, because these two are useless without Bhakti, only by being mixed with Bhakti do they become acceptable, being placed in the middle, if not so obvious. Since it is in the middle, it touches the other two, giving them life. If the six chapters concerning bhakti were placed at the beginning or end, they would only touch one of the other topics. Therefore, it is protected by the other two topics on either side.
So here we understand three parts. First is Karma Yoga, Nishkama Karma Yoga section. In between we have the Bhakti Yoga section, and then we have Jnana Yoga section. So now this Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, they are in touch with Bhakti. And why is it so important? In future chapters, we will see that Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, they cannot attain perfection without the tinges, without the elements of Bhakti. We'll discuss in detail what elements of Bhakti are there in that. So without Bhakti, these three yogis in these three categories of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, they cannot attain the perfection. So Bhakti is in between and they're in touch with Karma and Jnana. And then another very important thing that is given here is that why is it kept in between? If it is so important, he could have kept it in front, the first six chapters instead of between. So here very nicely, the Acharya is saying they're protected. Bhakti is protected by the two. Like there are people who are not qualified to comment on Bhagavad Gita, but they will comment. Unscrupulous commentators, as Prabhupada says. So what they'll start reading first six chapters. They'll give their commentary and they'll conclude. Karma Yoga is final, something like that. Yes. So Bhakti is protected. So they will not be able to give their unscrupulous commentary on the very, very important part that is Bhakti. Therefore, it is given very nicely that how it is protected. अगर पीछे से भी चालू करेंगे, Jnana will protect from ahead, Karma will protect. So Bhakti is protected, and only those people who are aspiring, to practice Bhakti and to do service to the Lord and attain Krishna, they are the ones who will be able to go deep. In the first six chapters, people are done. Or from last, if you begin, people are done, right? So in this way, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying how Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, they are in touch with Bhakti, then they can attain perfection. And they also protect Bhakti. These are the points which are made. So let's begin with the preface. Go to page number, this is in Roman letter, 17, Roman. Yes, start reading. Preface.
Preface.
Originally, I wrote Bhagavad Gita as it is in the form in which it is presented now. When
Switch on that fan for just till you read, or turn it this side. Ah.
When this book was first published, the original manuscript was unfortunately cut short to less than 400 pages, without illustrations and without explanations for most of the original verses of Bhagavad Gita. In all my other books, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Isha Upanishad, etc., the system is that I give the original verse in English transliteration, word for word, Sanskrit, English equivalents, translations, and purports. This makes the book very authentic and scholarly and makes the meaning self evident. I was not very happy, therefore, when I had to minimize my original manuscript. But later on, when the demand for Bhagavad Gita as it is considerably increased, I was requested by many scholars and devotees to present the book in its original form. Thus, the present attempt is to offer the original manuscript of this great book of knowledge with full parapara explanations in order to establish the Krishna consciousness movement more soundly and progressively.
So here, Prabhupada is talking about his first publication of Bhagavad Gita. So now what happened is a very nice pastime. You can hear. I'm sure some of you might be knowing also that how the first Bhagavad Gita was published. See, in 1939, just after Srila Prabhupada was initiated by his spiritual master Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he wrote an elaborate introduction on Bhagavad Gita. And then when his mission started, when in the West, then he started commenting on Bhagavad Gita. Now, in India, he had already completed translation of Bhagavad Gita. And why he had to write it again? He had written 10, almost 1,000 pages of translation and commentary on Bhagavad Gita. But in India, something happened by which he had to write it again. You know what happened? It got stolen. Can you imagine you work so hard and you don't have like OneDrive and cloud and all that at that time? It's stolen. It's stolen. And then Prabhupada had to rewrite. So Prabhupada did that when he went to West. And he gave first priority to Bhagavad Gita. So he wrote again. In 1966, March 1966, it is described that during that time, again something happened. Again, when he was writing, again something happened. What was that? Typewriter. See, Prabhupada had some things to write his commentaries. Typewriter. Mata says typewriter. What else was there with Prabhupada? What other things Prabhupada would use, to give his commentary? Dictaphone, yes. Typewriter, dictaphone, cassette, the cassette recorder. One day Prabhupada went out to distribute books and all that was stolen. The second time. Yes. And in 1967, the manuscripts again were ready with 1,000 pages. Can you imagine? It's so easy to write. We'll understand when you'll open book assignment, no? At that time, we'll understand. Here, Prabhupada is writing commentaries. My God, can you imagine that? 1967, all this happened. Where, he completed, again, manuscripts were ready. Now, a publisher is needed. Who will publish? Who will publish Prabhupada's books? So now it's a very important thing to note here. Prabhupada told many of his disciples, some other contacts, but they couldn't get any publisher. At that time, there was a nice thing that had happened. What was the name of the album? Village Voice. So what happened is Prabhupada and his disciples who were there at that time, so they had recorded a nice album of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And that was distributed everywhere. No books at that time. These cassettes were distributed. Now one day what happened is, an order came, from a very important place. And then Prabhupada's disciple, Brahmanand Prabhu, he went to Prabhupada and he said, Prabhupada, we have got order from Macmillan Publication. Now that was a very huge publication at that time. Macmillan Publication. And Prabhupada said, oh, that's very nice. So what you have to do is you personally go and deliver it. And then Prabhupada told him something. See, Prabhupada is a pure devotee. Pure devotee is a Trikaladarshi. Past, present, future, they know. So you know what Prabhupada said? He made a statement. I'd like to read it as it is. I have it here in my notes. Yeah, when you deliver the album, Prabhupada continued, tell them that you're disciple of a guru from India and that he has translated the Bhagavad Gita, They will publish it. Do not worry. Can you imagine that? Prabhupada said, you just tell that you are a disciple of a guru from India. He has written a Bhagavad Gita, he has commented on Bhagavad Gita. They will publish it, Prabhupada is saying. They will publish it. And he's saying, Brahmanand Prabhu, don't worry. Now, what happened is when he went there to that place, the person who ordered the album was a clerk. And when Brahma, because they felt some big person in that company might have ordered, but it was a clerk who ordered it. And Brahmanand Prabhu felt, oh, Krishna, what happened? I had come here with some other intention, some other thing has happened here. When he was talking with that person, the chief person of the company, he was entering the place. So the clerk, he introduced Brahmanand Prabhu to this chief. And he said, he is Brahmanand Prabhu. And then he introduced, oh, he's the chief of this company. And Brahmanand Prabhu, verbatim, he repeated what Prabhupada told him. I am the disciple of a guru from India. My guru has written a commentary on Bhagavad Gita. As soon as he said that, this person who was the chief of that place, what was his name? Macmillan, let me just get the name of that person. James Ward. So what happened is as soon as he heard that, James, he got very, very blissful. Very blissful. He said, we have published all the religious books. We were just waiting for Bhagavad Gita. We're waiting for Bhagavad Gita. The next day itself, Prabhupada came personally with the comment is with the manuscripts. He handed over. But then what Prabhupada is writing here in the first part, no? Prabhupada had written 1,000+ pages of commentary, but then here he says that unfortunately it was cut to less than 400 pages without illustrations and without explanation. Because that was the condition of this Macmillan publication. So that's what was given. 1968, abridged version was published. And after that, many people started telling Prabhupada that you should publish like this, the way you normally publish. Because at that time, Bhagavatam was published, by some ways. So, if you see Prabhupada's style, Sanskrit, then we have transliteration of Sanskrit, and then word-to-word meaning is there in English, then translation, and then purport. So this was possible, and this happened in 1972. So the entire thing as it is was presented. So I hope this is clear, to all of us here. So he's saying, thus the present attempt is to offer the original manuscript of this great book of knowledge with full parampara explanation in order to establish the Krishna consciousness movement more soundly and progressively. See, Prabhupada's entire goal is presenting the entire philosophy in the parampara as it is to the public. And that's what he's saying, to establish Krishna consciousness movement more soundly and progressively. So the basis of Krishna consciousness movement, Prabhupada said, dash are the basis, fill in the blanks. Books are the basis. Prabhupada said, books are the basis. That's what Prabhupada is presenting. Let's read the next paragraph.
Our Krishna consciousness movement is genuine, historical, authorized, natural, and transcendental due to its being based on the Bhagavad Gita as it is. It is gradually becoming the most popular movement in the entire world, especially amongst the younger generation. It's becoming more and more interesting to older generation also. Older generation are becoming interested so much so that the fathers and grandfathers of my disciples are encouraging us by becoming life members of our great society. International Society for Krishna Consciousness in Los Angeles, many fathers and mothers used to come to see me to express their feeling of gratitude for my leading the Krishna conscious movement throughout the entire world. Some of them said it is greatly fortunate for the Americans that I have started Krishna consciousness movement in the America. But actually, the original father of this movement is Lord Krishna himself, since it was started a very long time ago, but it is coming down to human society by disciplic succession. If I have any credit in this connection, it does not belong to me personally, but it is due to my eternal spiritual master, His divine grace, Om Vishnupad Paramhans
Parivrajakacharya
Parivrajacharya
Ashtotar Shad
Ashtotasya
Sri
Srimad
Srimad
Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada.
So here, see what Prabhupada is saying. I have not started a new moment. So he uses the word, see here, genuine, historical, authorized, natural, and transcendental. So look at the words that Prabhupada is using here. So he's very clear. Why? Why he's using these words? Because it is based on Bhagavad Gita as it is. Our entire movement is based on Bhagavad Gita as it is, he says. And then he's saying it's not, why he's saying historical? Because this is not something that started now. It was started by whom? By Lord Sri Krishna himself. And what is Prabhupada doing? Presenting it in the succession. And look at Prabhupada's humility. My God. He did the entire thing. And look at what he's saying. If I have any credit in this connection, it does not belong to me personally. Whom does it belong to? It belongs to my spiritual master. He says it belongs to my spiritual master. See, this is the quality of a pure devotee. Very humble, humility personified. This is the quality. In the next paragraph, he says, I'll just read the first two lines and then you can continue. If personally I have any credit in this matter, it is only that I have tried to present the Bhagavad Gita as it is without any adulteration. So Prabhupada is saying, if I have to take any credit, the credit is I have presented it as it is. Therefore, it is Bhagavad Gita as it is. Read, Prabhu.
Before my presentation of Bhagavad Gita as it is, almost all the English editions of Bhagavad Gita were introduced to fulfill someone's personal ambition. But our attempt in presenting Bhagavad Gita as it is to present the mission of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, Krishna. Our business is to present the will of Krishna, not that of any mundane speculator like a politician, philosopher, or scientist, for they have very little knowledge of Krishna, despite all other knowledge. When Krishna says, Man manabhava mad bhakto mad yaji mamam
Mam Namaskuru.
mam namaskaro, etc. We, unlike the so-called scholars, do not say that Krishna and his inner spirit are different. Krishna is absolute, and there is no difference between Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes, etc. This absolute position of Krishna is difficult to understand for any person who is not a devotee of Krishna in the system of parampara, the disciplic succession. Generally, the so-called scholars, politicians, philosophers, and the swamis, without perfect knowledge of Krishna, try to banish or kill Krishna when writing commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Such unauthorized commentary upon Bhagavad Gita is known as Mayavadi
Mayavad Bhashya.
Mayavad Bhashya, and Lord Chaitanya has warned us about these unauthorized men. Lord Chaitanya clearly says that anyone who tries to understand Bhagavad Gita from Mayavadi point of view will commit a grave blunder. The result of such a blunder will be that the misguided student of Bhagavad Gita will certainly be bewildered on the path of spiritual guidance and will not be able to go back to the home, back to Godhead.
So there were many, many editions, and Prabhupada says that there were 664 editions of Bhagavad Gita before he published his own. 664. And it's very important to note that each one of them, the author is trying to put forward his own opinion. Many, many. So a doctor gave a commentary. He says Krishna is a doctor, Arjuna is a patient. That's how he comments. And Bhagavad Gita is a prescription. See, externally to hear it's very nice. But then Bhagavad Gita is meant for growing spiritually, not to get intellectual retaliation. So they have given their own commentaries like that. Simple, say, I know computer language. I have learned computers. And no, first case I would consider. First case, I know English and I'm translating a computer book or trying to understand a computer book myself. Yes. So now, say I know English and I know some other language. Say English to Kannada or English to Hindi. Say English to Hindi. So now when I'm translating mouse from English to Hindi, what will I translate in Hindi? If I don't know computer's language? Chua. Simple. Similarly, I might know Sanskrit and I might know English. That doesn't mean that I'll be able to translate Bhagavad Gita to English. Because I should know the substance of bhakti that is there. So only a bhakta can translate. A pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, that's what he did. He translated. And also, there are some things which are given. Because some places the commentators have said that when Krishna is saying, think of me, he's not talking about himself. He's talking about someone within him. That is very important to understand. There is no difference between Krishna's external and internal. It's almost like a sugar ball, sugar candy. In outside of the sugar, inside of the sugar only. So Krishna is Chit Ghan, completely spiritual, inside or outside. He does not have a body like ours and spirit soul. He's completely spiritual. So many times people comment like this. In many commentaries it is given. And also regarding Mayavad, we will see, Prabhupada will obviously point out a lot of things about that. Yes, continue.
Our only purpose is to present this Bhagavad Gita as it is in order to guide the conditioned student to the same purpose for which Krishna descends to this planet once in a day of Brahma or every
8 billion 600 million.
600 million years. This purpose is stated in Bhagavad Gita and we have to accept it as it is. Otherwise, there is no point in trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita and its speaker, Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna first spoke Bhagavad Gita to the sun god some hundreds of millions of years ago. We have to accept this fact and thus understand the historical significance of Bhagavad Gita without misinterpretation on the authority of Krishna. To interpret Bhagavad Gita without any reference to the will of Krishna is the greatest offense. In order to save oneself from this offense, one has to understand the Lord as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as he was directly understood by Arjuna, Lord Krishna's first disciple. Such understanding of Bhagavad Gita is really profitable and authorized for the welfare of human society in fulfilling the mission of life. Hare
Yes.
Krishna.
So here, some commentators will kill Krishna. Means they'll remove Krishna from Bhagavad Gita. Can you imagine? Bhagavad Gita without Krishna. They'll remove Krishna from Bhagavad Gita and they'll give their own commentary. So what is Prabhupada saying? What was the mission of Lord Krishna? Why did he come to this material world? What was the need? That's it. To take us back home, back to Godhead. That's why he gave Bhagavad Gita. And therefore, Prabhupada is writing that that is what is our mission also. To present the same knowledge that Krishna gave to help people to go back home, back to Godhead. And he writes a very important point. To interpret Bhagavad Gita without any reference to the will of Krishna is the greatest offense. So see, commentary can be given by the Acharya in the line Parampara. But what should be taken care here? Prabhupada is writing reference to the will of Krishna. And what is the will of Krishna? To take the living entities back home, back to Godhead. That's what he wants. If that is removed, then it's a great offense, Prabhupada says, a great offense. And therefore, Prabhupada is giving the Bhagavad Gita as it is, the way it was given to Arjun. The mood is maintained the same. Whatever Krishna gave to Arjun, the same thing who is giving to us, Prabhupada is giving to us. In the initial days, there was one devotee, I forgot his name. So this was before ISKCON got established in that storefront. So what happened is, one night that devotee got a dream. And the next day, he went to Prabhupada and he told that dream. What was that dream? He said, Prabhupada, I saw in the Kurukshetra, Krishna speaking Bhagavad Gita to Arjun. And suddenly, the entire scene changed. Wherein you were speaking Bhagavad Gita to me. And Prabhupada said, that's correct. That's correct. That's a right revelation. So in this way, whatever Krishna gave to Arjun, the same thing is given to us in the parampara by Srila Prabhupada. And therefore, you see, throughout the whole world, there's so much of transformation that is happening. So much of transformation in the lives of people who hardly know any culture of Krishna consciousness or any culture of Vedic scriptures. Many people went before Prabhupada, but they couldn't convert even one person. And when Prabhupada went, so many people from so many different parts of the world got converted to, or I should say transformed to be a Krishna conscious person. Why? As it is Funda, as it is mode of Prabhupada did this. Yes, continue.
So, the Krishna consciousness movement is essential in human society, for it offers the highest perfection of life. Now, this is so is explained fully in Bhagavad Gita. Unfortunately, mundane ramblers who have taken advantage of Bhagavad Gita to push forward their demonic propensities and mislead people regarding right understanding of the simple principles of life. Everyone should know how God or Krishna is great, and everyone should know the factual position of the living entities. Everyone should know that living entity is eternally a servant, and that unless one serves Krishna, one has to serve illusion in different varieties of three modes of material nature, and thus wander perpetually within the cycle of birth and death. Even that so-called liberated Mayavadi specular has to undergo this process. The knowledge constitutes a great science, and each and every living entity has to hear this from his own interest.
So it's a very nice thing. Prabhupada is such a genius, you see. Everyone should know. I'm displaying it here also. This particular line, you see. Everyone should know who is God. Sorry. Yeah, everyone should know how God is great. The first point. Everyone should know the factual position of living entities. Second point. Third, everyone should know that living entity is eternally servant. And the fourth point, unless one serves Krishna, one has to serve illusion in different varieties of the three modes of material nature and thus wander perpetually within the cycle of birth and death. See, Prabhupada is such a genius, he has put the entire philosophy of Krishna consciousness in the preface in these few lines. Therefore, anyone who reads Prabhupada's books, even one page, there's a high probability that his heart will get transformed. See, look, in few lines in preface, Prabhupada's given an entire philosophy. These are the four philosophical points in a nutshell. We should know how God is great. We should know who we are, basically our factual position as servant. And third, we are eternally a servant of the Lord. So if we don't serve Krishna, we will serve Maya. Simple. These are the 4 points. And because of that, what will happen? The fifth one, we'll wander in this material world in the cycle of birth and death. Yes, last paragraph.
Hare Krishna. People in generally, especially in this age of Kali, are enamored by the external energy of Krishna, and they wrongly think that by advancement of material comforts, every man will be happy. They have no knowledge that the material or external nature is very strong. For everyone is strongly bound by the striking law of material nature. A living entity is happily the part and parcel of Lord. Thus, his natural function is to render immediate service to the Lord. By the spell of illusion, one tries to be happy by serving his personal sense gratification in different forms, which will never make him happy. Instead of satisfying his own personal material senses, he has to satisfy the senses of Lord. That is the highest perfection of life. The Lord wants this and He demands it. One has to understand the central position of Bhagavad Gita. Our Krishna conscious movement is teaching the whole world this central point, and because we are not polluting the theme of Bhagavad Gita as it is, anyone seriously interested in deriving benefit by studying the Bhagavad Gita must take help from the Krishna conscious movement for practical understanding of Bhagavad Gita under the direct guidance of the Lord. We hope, therefore, that people will derive the greatest benefit by studying Bhagavad Gita as it is, as we have presented it here. And if even one man becomes a pure devotee of Lord, we shall consider our attempt a success.
I think Prabhupada does not know so many people in IBC Panatur. So some important points here. People are thinking that yes, in this material world I'll be able to enjoy. But Prabhupada writes here, a living entity is happily the part and parcel of the Lord, and thus his natural function is to render immediate service to the Lord. So one devotee was saying, after doing so many things, I was not satisfied. But now when I'm here in bhakti with devotees, I'm feeling that satisfaction. Why? Because living entities happily the part and parcel of the Lord, and this is natural function. What is the natural function? Is to render immediate service to the Lord. And then Prabhupada writes, very important point. Instead of satisfying his own personal material senses, he has to satisfy the senses of the Lord. And then that is the highest perfection of life. So, what is highest perfection of life? This one. The Lord wants it and he demands it, Prabhupada says. See, Lord wants it and he's demanding it, and it's our duty to do it. Simple. This is what is as it is. And even this line also, instead of satisfying his own personal senses, why is it called as highest perfection of life? Prabhupada is not giving by his own self. In Nectar of Devotion, we have one shloka. Iha yasya harerdasya karmana manasagira nikhilasvapi avasthasu jivan mukta sauchyate. It is said that anyone who is engaged in service of the Lord completely, that person is considered as jivan mukta, who has attained perfection. So in purports of Prabhupada, what you'll find is he takes the Acharya commentaries, he makes it palatable and easy for us to understand. He gives it first. Second, you will see direct translation of verses from Bhagavatam and other scriptures in these various books. Yes. And third, he gives us wonderful contemporary examples which we can connect to. When I was doing this comparative study for Shloka Day videos, Baldev Vidyabhushan, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur, and Prabhupada, I could see clear difference. They were giving some example which was valid at that time. And Prabhupada is giving modern day example. Like he's talking about cars. He's talking about buildings. At that time, those were not there. So clearly we can see that how Prabhupada has made it very easy for all of us. So this preface, introduction, by the way, the last line is also very important. If even one man becomes a pure devotee of the Lord, we shall consider our attempt a success. So at least to please Prabhupada, we have to attain perfection. And look at the humility of Prabhupada. Can you see the humility? Senapati Bhakta of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and look at his humility. He's saying, even if one person becomes a pure devotee, even if one person becomes a pure devotee. In fact, there is a section in Bhagavatam where Dhruv Maharaj's mother, Suniti, she is going back home before Dhruv Maharaj, who is a pure devotee. There, Prabhupada writes that even if one of our disciple goes back home back to Godhead, we also have some hope. We also have some of this is humility of a pure devotee. This is humility of a pure devotee. So introduction is 40 pages of introduction. So Prabhupada has spoken this for 3 hours. There's a 3 hours audio which is available in the Veda base. And when Prabhupada was speaking this 3 hours, you know who was there in the audience? Huh? Only the walls. No one. You should hear those 3 hours of audio, and then you'll understand Prabhupada's enthusiasm of preaching. No one is there with full enthusiasm. He's speaking this, and that's what is put here as introduction. So please take out time. This is the homework for this week. Please hear that and read this introduction. Let's begin. Let's begin with Bhagavad Gita chapter 1, observing the armies on the battlefield. From page number 33, yes. But before that, yes. By the way, you can ask questions in between also.
When someone asks, is the idea of the Bhagavad to take us back to Godhead, then
Use the mic. Mic.
then how, again, when it comes to doing the God, right, how do we explain that?
How to?
But again, at the end of thing, Arjuna says that he will fight. So how we can link that action to this going back to Godhead? How do we relate to that?
So initially, why Arjuna did not want to fight? We'll see that in tomorrow, next Saturday's class. Why he did not want to fight? Because he had his own personal agendas. They're my people. Without them, how will I enjoy? I'll get sin, so I have to suffer. Everywhere I was there. I. For Arjuna. And then Krishna wanted him to do his duty. He was a Kshatriya, so he has to fight. So when Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, then the transformation was there from the heart. And now what Arjuna said? Karishye vachanam tava. Oh Krishna, for your pleasure, I will do what you want. So now this from I, it became to you, and that is Krishna. So I means sense gratification, and Krishna means devotional service. So now he's rendering devotional service, so he'll go back home back to God. Understood? So normally, after going through the entire chapter, Then we read the Falashruti of that. But in Kali Yuga, I feel it should be the other way. First, we should read Falashruti and then read the chapter so that we understand what we're going to get by reading the chapter. So here is a nice pastime, a story. We shouldn't a story. It's a pastime from Gita Mahatmya from Padma Puran, which Vyasdev has given, where Lord Shiva and Parvati are speaking about the importance of the first chapter of Gita. Please read. Who has the mic?
Parvati said, "My dear husband, you know all the transcendental truth, and by your mercy, I have heard the glories of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. O Lord, now I long to hear from you the glories of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which was spoken by Lord Krishna, and by hearing which one's devotion to Lord Krishna increases." Lord Shiva replied, "That person whose body is the color of a dark rain cloud, whose carrier is the king of birds, Garuda, and who is lying on Anantasesha, the thousand-headed serpent, that Lord Vishnu, whose glories have no limit, I am always worshipping. My dear Parvati, once after Lord Vishnu had killed the demon Ura, he was resting peacefully on Anantashesha when the bestower of all good fortune of the universe, Sri Lakshmi, respectfully inquired from him.
So see, Shiva and Parvati are discussing about the Lord. And now here when question was asked by Parvati to Shiva, he is just quoting or he's relaying the conversation that happened between Lakshmi and Lord Vishnu. Goddess Lakshmi and Lord Vishnu in the spiritual world. Continue.
Bhagavan, you are the controller and maintainer of the whole universe, but yet you are sleeping unhappily on the ocean of milk. What is the reason? Lord Vishnu said, "My dear Lakshmi, I am not sleeping, but I am watching how wonderfully my energy is working. It is by this wonderful energy of mine, by which I am controlling all things, and yet remain separate. And it is by remembering that these divine activities of mine that the great devotees and yogis manage to free themselves from the wheel of birth and death and attain that transcendental nature of mind, which is eternal and free from all qualities." Lakshmi said, "O controller of all things, you are the goal of the meditation of great yogis. Nothing can go on without you, and yet you are separate. You are the cause of creation, maintenance, and destruction of all the material universe. Kindly inform me about the workings of your wonderful energies, which are so attractive that even you are lying here meditating upon them."
Krishna is thinking about his own energies, how they're working. Next. Read. Suresh, Sanatan, you read.
Lord Vishnu said, "My dear,
Huh?
my dear Lakshmi, the working of my multifold energies and how to become free from the bond of birth and death and attain my eternal nature can only be understood by one of pure intelligence who has an inclination to render service unto me. This transcendental knowledge is fully explained in this Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Lakshmi inquired, "My dear Lord, if you yourself are amazed by the working of your energies and are ever trying to fathom their limit, then how is it possible that Bhagavad Gita can describe those unlimited energies of yours and how to cross over them and attain the transcendental nature?"
So very nice questions he's asking. Oh, if that is your glories, then how is it that Bhagavad Gita is able to tell all your glories which are unlimited? So Lord answers.
And Vishnu said, "I myself have manifested in the form of Bhagavad Gita. Please understand that the first five chapters are my five heads, the next 10 chapters are my 10 arms, and the 16th chapter is my stomach. The last two chapters are my lotus feet. In this way, you should understand."
So what are you holding? You're holding a deity. I hope you're holding it properly. You're holding a deity in your hand. Krishna is saying, I am myself manifested as Bhagavad Gita. So it's Krishna himself. Yes, continue.
Transcendental deity of the Bhagavad Gita. This Bhagavad Gita is the destroyer of all sins, and that intelligent man who daily recites one chapter or even one shloka, one half shloka, or at least one quarter shloka will attain the same position as Susharma had attained.
Now
Lakshmi.
we're going to go to a story of a person called Susharma. See what is Lord saying. Recite one chapter. People in Kali Yuga in a time नहीं वन श्लोका नहीं नहीं वो श्लोका डे ऐप खोलना पड़ेगा उसके लिए नहीं वन हाफ श्लोका अरे भाई वन क्वार्टर श्लोका व्हाट विल हैपन सेम पोजीशन व्हाट सुशर्मा गॉट व्हाट पोजीशन ही गॉट लेट्स सी कंटिन्यू
Lakshmi inquired, who was Susharma? What class did he belongs to? And what destination did he attain? Lord Vishnu said, My dear Lakshmi, Susharma was a very wicked and a most sinful man. Although he was born in a Brahmana family, his family had no Vedic knowledge and he only took pleasure from hurting others. He never engaged in the chanting of my names, in giving charity, or receiving gifts. In fact, he never performed any pious activities. For his livelihood, he collected leaves and sold them in the bazaar. He especially enjoyed drinking wine and eating flesh. In this way, he passed his life.
कंटिन्यू
One day, that foolish Susharma had gone to the garden of one sage for collecting leaves. When a snake came and bit him, and he died. After his death, he was cast into many hells, where he suffered for a long time, after which he attained the body of a bull. That bull was purchased by a crippled man who engaged him in his service. For about 7 or 8 years, he was carrying extremely heavy loads. One day, that crippled man had built a very heavy load onto the back of his bull. Very quickly, he was forcing that bull along when suddenly the bull fell over the became unconsciousness. Many persons gathered there to see what was happening, feeling sorry for the bull. Feeling sorry for that bull, one pious man bestowed upon that bull the results of some of his pious activities. Seeing that other persons standing these there started remembering their pious activities and offered the results of some of those activities to the bull. In that crowd, there was also one prostitute who did not know if she had ever performed any pious activities. But seeing everyone else offering their pious credits to that bull, she also offered the results of any pious activities she might have performed after that. The bull died and was taken to the abode of Yamaraja, the god of death. There, Yamaraja informed him, You are now free from the reactions of all your previous sinful deeds due to the pious credits given to you by that prostitute. Then he took birth in very high Brahmana family. In that birth, he was able to remember his past lives. After many days, he decided to search out that prostitute who had been the cause of freeing him from all his hellish situation. After he had found and introduced himself to that lady, he inquired from her, What were the pious activities performed by you, the fruit of which freed me from my heavy situation? The prostitute replied to him, My dear sir, in that cage is one parrot which recites something every day. Hearing that recitation, my heart has become completely pure. The results of hearing that recitation I had given to you. Thereafter, they both inquired from that parrot about that recitation. That parent, remembering his previous life, started to narrate his history. Previously, I had been a very learned Brahmana, but due to my pride, I used to insult other learned persons. I was also extremely jealous. After I died, I was cast into many hells, and after a long time of suffering, I achieved this body of a parrot. Due to my past sinful activities, my mother and father died while I was a baby. One day, while I was lying on the hot sands with no protection, some rishis saw me and took me to their ashram and put me in a cage. At that same place, the children of those rishis were learning the recitation of the first chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Hearing them repeat those shlokas, I also started repeating those shlokas along with them. Shortly after, one thief stole me from that place and sold me to this pious lady. Lord Vishnu continued by reciting the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. That parrot had become completely pure, and by hearing that recitation, that prostitute also became completely pure. And by receiving some of the pious results of hearing that recitation, Susharma also became completely pure. After discussing for some time the glories of the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Susharma returned to his home, and the three of them individually engaged in reciting the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita and very quickly attained the supreme destination Vaikunta. Anyone who recites, who hears, or studies the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita will very easily cross over the ocean of material miseries and attain the service of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna.
Ready, everyone? So this is the glory of reciting, studying. Now, we are not just going to recite; we're going to study Bhagavad Gita in depth and try to apply in our life. So this is what is the Falashruti. Will attain the service of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna in the spiritual world. So this is the overview. This is how the entire chapter is divided into. So the first chapter talks about Dhritarashtra's doubts. Then 2 to 11 verses, it talks about Duryodhana's diplomacy. 12 to 20, signs of victory for the Pandavas. 21 to 27, Arjuna observes the armies. And 28 to 46, Arjuna's 4 reasons for not fighting. How many verses are there in the entire Bhagavad Gita?
700.
700. So from that, how many verses did Dhritarashtra spoke? One. How many verses did Sanjaya spoke? 41. How many verses did Arjuna spoke? Yes, 84. And how many Krishna spoke? Huh? 574. So 574 plus 84 plus 41 plus 1 equal to 700. I have a question to all of you. Then why is it called as Bhagavad Gita? There's so many people speaking, not just Krishna. Correct, no? Why is it called as Bhagavad Gita then?
Because they are speaking to Krishna and they are speaking about
Okay, accepted.
so Krishna's
But still, it's not spoken by Krishna. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan ka Gita.
they were hearing what Krishna is.
Okay. See, when there is a special program, say, the Amog Lila Prabhu had come. So, a special lecture by Amog Lila Prabhu that was published everywhere. And when people came there, so there were other people. I was the MC there, so I was speaking. And then there were other speakers who were the senior devotees, they spoke. Everyone spoke, but still the entire program was called as the lecture by Amog Lila Prabhu. So, what were other people speaking? They were creating a context for that person to speak. And that's why we see all these different persons, they're creating a context for the Lord to speak this wonderful scripture. And therefore, the entire scripture is called as Bhagavad Gita. Is that clear? Yes. So let's begin with the So Lord is always worried about the jivatmas in this material world. Actually, Lord can never be unhappy. He can never be nirananda because he's full of ananda. But he always has that thing. Always one burden of love that he has is how can I get my living heritage, my parts and parcels back home, back to God. So that was the answer also she gave. No, I'm meditating on the energies. So he's meditating on his energy means he'll meditate on his marginal energy also, like all of us struggling in this material world. Okay, let's begin. So we are going to have shloka recitation test. Hope everyone knows. You're supposed to memorize. and you're supposed to recite. So this is one of the shloka in that. Please repeat. Dhritarashtra Vacha Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva Kim Akuravata Sanjaya. So see how to memorize the shloka. Write it in a chit and always keep it with you, or have it as a screensaver of your mobile phone or something like that. So when you get up in the morning, first thing you do is recite that shloka. Before going to bed, recite that shloka. In between, whenever you look at the mobile, recite that shloka. And in one day, easily you'll be able to memorize that shloka. That's how I was reciting while going to office in the office bus, while walking from the office bus to my place where I was staying in the office multiple times. In one day, easily you can memorize one shloka very easily. Just 3-4 times, you keep reciting once in a while in the day, and you'll see that it will be easy. And if possible, see the word to word meaning also. Then easily you'll also know the translation. Because in the shloka memorization test, you'll have to recite the shloka and also tell the meaning of the shloka. Okay? No. It need not be like verbatim. It can mean your words, but no, don't put your speculation in that. So give the essence. Okay, let's read from the Bhagavad Gita, page number 33. Who has the mic? Please read. Dhritarashtra said.
Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimages at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do?
So we have discussed the shloka many times. Still, we'll discuss it for the benefit. Since it's a course, we'll discuss it again. So here his question is a very obvious question. Now, my sons and sons of Pandu, they met on the battlefield of Kurukshetra to fight with the mood of fighting. And then he's asking, what did they do? Because there is a huge tension in the mind of the Dhritarashtra. Obviously, they're going to fight only. What they will do? They've come with the mood of fighting on the battlefield to fight. They'll fight anyways. But then there's a huge tension that is there. And what is that tension that we will see in the purport Prabhupada gives? Yes.
Purport Bhagavad Gita is the widely read theistic science summarized in the Gita Mahatmya, glorification of the Gita. There is says that one should read Bhagavad Gita very scrutinizingly with the help of a person who is a devotee of Sri Krishna and try to understand it without personally motivated interpretations.
So this is what we're trying to do in the course. Scrutinizingly read Bhagavad Gita. This is what we are all trying to do here. Without giving one's own motivated interpretations. Yes.
The example of clear understanding is there in the Bhagavad Gita itself, in the way the teaching is understood by Arjuna, who heard the Gita directly from the Lord. If someone is fortunate enough to understand the Bhagavad Gita in that line of disciplic succession without motivated interpretation, then he surpasses all studies of Vedic wisdom and all scriptures of the world. One will find in the Bhagavad Gita all that is contained in other scriptures, but the reader will also find things which are not to be found elsewhere.
So here, if someone is fortunate enough to understand Bhagavad Gita in that line of disciplic succession, he surpasses all the Vedic wisdom. So that's what we are trying to do here in this course. Try to understand the Bhagavad Gita in the parampara as given by the pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. And here also it is given, one will find in the Bhagavad Gita all that is contained in other scriptures. But the reader will also find things which are not found elsewhere. So here Prabhupada is talking about the scriptures of other faith, other religions which are there. And in the, I think, 12th chapter, Krishna is saying that I'm giving you complete knowledge. Complete knowledge. Whereas in other scriptures, the prophets are saying that I want to tell you more, but as of now you're not qualified. Both. Now in Bible also it is said, Quran also it is said, so other scriptures, it is given like that. So here Krishna is telling himself, I'm giving you complete knowledge. Knowing this, there is nothing more to be known, Krishna is telling. Therefore Prabhupada writes this. See, every line of Prabhupada in his writing, there is a lot of weight in it. Now if you try to understand it deeply. Next.
That is a specific standard of the Gita. It is the perfect theistic science because it is directly spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. The topics discussed by Dhritarashtra and Sanjaya, as described in the Mahabharata, form the basic principle for this great philosophy. It is understood that this philosophy evolved on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, which is a sacred place of pilgrimages from the immemorial time of the Vedic age. It was spoken by the Lord when he was present personally on this planet for the guidance of mankind.
See, what else can be a better scripture? Lord Himself is speaking. Can you imagine? That's what we're studying. Lord is personally speaking, and that scripture is what we are studying. So many times people ask, "Oh, so how is it that Vyasadeva wrote Bhagavad Gita?" You say, so is it that Krishna and Arjuna was speaking and he was sitting beside the chariot and then he was making notes? Vyasadeva is literally incarnation of Krishna. So he knows what he has spoken. And that's what he has completely given all the 700 verses in the Bhagavad Gita. Continue.
The word Dharma Kshetra, a place where religious rituals are performed, is significant because on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was present on the side of Arjuna. Dhritarashtra, the father of the Kurus, was highly doubtful about the possibility of his son's ultimate victory. In his doubt, he inquired from his secretary Sanjaya, what did they do? He was confident that both his sons and the sons of his younger brother Pandu were assembled in the field of Kurukshetra for a determined engagement of the war. Still, his inquiry is insignificant. He did not want a compromise between the cousins and brothers, and he wanted to be sure of the fate of his sons on the battlefield, because the battle was arranged to be fought at Kurukshetra, which is mentioned elsewhere in the Vedas as a place of worship, even for the denizens of heaven. Dhritarashtra became very fearful about the influence of the holy place on the outcome of the battle. He knew very well that this would influence Arjuna and the sons of Pandu favorably, because by nature they were all virtuous. Sanjaya was a student of Vyasa, and therefore, by the mercy of Vyasa, Sanjaya was able to envision the battlefield of Kurukshetra even while he was in the room of Dhritarashtra. And so, Dhritarashtra asked him about the situation on the battlefield.
So here are a few points. So how is it that Sanjaya, why is Dhritarashtra asking Sanjaya? Because Sanjaya was able to see what's happening on the battlefield. How is he able to see? By the mercy of a spiritual master, Vyasadeva. And now here, Dharmakshetra, the place Dharmakshetra is spoken about. So why this place, why this name Dharmakshetra? So here, since that place Dharmakshetra is there, because a lot of pious activities were done there by a lot of great personalities. So because it is Dharmakshetra, Dhritarashtra had this question, what did they do? Kima Kuruvata? What did they do? Oh Sanjay, tell me, what did they do? Because of that word Dharmakshetra, because this Dharmakshetra word has a special significance. So Prabhupada is giving there, and here this also will read. Read this.
Dharma. Kurukshetra is a place for
So by the way, this is the commentary by Baldev Vidyabhushan.
Kurukshetra is a place for sacrifice to the Devadas by those who are like the Devas. It is the abode of Brahman for all living beings. Japala Upanishad was first. So from this, we understand that it has become famous as a place for increasing dharma.
So now understood why it's Dharmakshetra. It is given in this Upanishad that a lot of sacrifices were done by the Devatas, and so it is that place. Yes.
Under this influence, will my sons give up their animosity and give the kingdom to the Pandavas?
The first point. What was the doubt in the head? Will my sons give away the kingdom? Second.
Or will perhaps the Pandavas, who are always following Dharma, consider at this place of Dharma that it is best to go to the forest out of fear of committing adharma in the form of destruction of the family traditions by fighting?
So maybe the Pandavas will feel, oh, what is this fighting all about? It's such a nice place. And then because of their pious nature, they might give up fighting and they'll go to forest. See, first point I understand. My sons will give up fighting and they'll say, I don't want kingdom. But second point, good, no, let them go to forest. What is the problem? What do you all think?
I think they can come back at any time and
They will get fame.
Okay, they'll come back anytime. Nahin, theek hai, chalo, we assume they'll not come back.
They will get fame.
They'll get fame.
They go to forest, right? They will get.
Okay. But then he's getting kingdom. Entire war was about kingdom. Anyways, he was defamed for various things he had done. Why?
He's got tension between either this or
No, that's what. Why tension? If they go to forest, it's good. First point we understand his son's giving up fighting. That is understood. But second point, Pandavas going good, no battle. They have entire kingdom with themselves.
Krishna is there.
And that's okay. They're giving up and going.
Maybe feeling that since his sons do other ones, the other one will grow.
No, he was himself adharmic. He was himself adharmic completely. Pandu? But he want kingdom, he's getting kingdom. See here, the Kshatriya principle comes into picture. Kshatriyas don't like just like that. Halile. They don't like that. They want fight. Yes. So here he wanted that fight. In fact, Arjuna, when you remember that, I don't know if you have heard the 5 arrow story. So basically, one day Bhishma he decides that I'll kill the Pandavas next day, and he creates 5 arrows, very powerful. He gives it to Duryodhan. He says, "No, keep it safe." And Krishna gets to know, obviously, he's Paramatma in everyone's heart. He knew if he uses those 5 arrows, Pandavas are gone. 1689 black. No, not ours. So those 5 arrows were given. Now what happened is Krishna got to know, and Krishna told Arjun, "You go and get those 5 arrows from Duryodhan." So morning they would fight, and evening they're friends. I mean, no, they will treat nicely each other. So when Arjuna came to the camp of Duryodhan, at that time, you know what Duryodhan said? "Oh, my brother Arjun, you have come. You want the kingdom? I'll give it to you." And he actually meant it. But Arjuna said, "No, we'll see in the morning. We'll fight and we'll see." That's the Kshatriya spirit. And when he asked, "What do you want?" he said, "Give me those 5 arrows." So Kshatriyas don't like Asa, bhik mein diya hua cheez. They're not beggars, they are Kshatriyas, they want to fight. So he was fearful. Either these people will leave or these people will. I want the fight to happen. And surely my sons will win. That was the mood that he had. Continue. Personally. From your book. The last paragraph.
Both the Pandavas and the sons of Dhritarashtra belong to the same family, but Dhritarashtra's name is disclosed here. He deliberately claimed only his sons as gurus, and he separated the sons of Pandu from the family heritage. One can thus understand the specific position of Dhritarashtra in his relationship with his nephews, the sons of Pandu.
So here we can understand his hypocritic nature. Ideally, he was supposed to take care of both of them, but now he's saying Mamakaha, my sons, and Pandavaha, the sons of Pandu. So that he's the elder one, everyone has taken his shelter. But look at him, he's doing the difference because of his attachment. Because of his attachment to his sons. Continue.
As in the paddy field, the unnecessary plants are taken out. So it is expected from the very beginning of these topics that in the religious field of Kurukshetra, where the father of religion Sri Krishna was present, the unwanted plants like Dhritarashtra's son, Duryodhana, and others would be wiped out, and the thoroughly religious persons, headed by Yudhishthira, would be established by the Lord. This is the significance of the words Dharmakshetra and Kurukshetra, apart from their historical and Vedic importance.
So this analogy of paddy field, we'll see Prabhupada's mood as it is moved. So this is from the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Someone read? You can give it to Mataji.
The field, a place of exerting oneself in the work of cultivating, was the place in which Krishna, the nourisher of Dharma, would encourage Yudhishthira. The field, a place for many projects like blocking irrigation, dikes, and watering, was the place where Krishna would assist Yudhishthira in many ways to establish the grains of Dharma. The same field is also a place for weeds to grow. The weeds, enemies of the grains, in the form of Duryodhana and others, also grew there, but would be destroyed by Krishna.
So this is what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given, the paddy field analogy. And same thing Prabhupada is giving us. Again go to the last paragraph, or maybe read it from here. So from this line, as in the paddy field.
As in the paddy field, the unnecessary plants are taken out.
So this is from the purport, it's there in the book. Last paragraph, as in the paddy field, the unnecessary.
So it is expected from the very beginning of these topics that in the religious field of Kurukshetra, Where the father of religion, Sri Krishna, was present, the unwanted plans like Dhritarashtra's son Duryodhana and others would be wiped out, and the thoroughly religious persons headed by Yudhishthira would be established by the Lord. This is the significance of the words Dharmakshetra and Kurukshetra, apart from their historical and Vedic importance.
So look at Prabhupada's as it is mode. Whatever Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given, as it is the essence, he has given it in a way what we can understand. And with the contemporary thing, the way he has put it, so that we can understand. This is Prabhupada's mode, as it is. Therefore, he calls Bhagavad Gita as it is. We'll keep seeing this in different places, that how Prabhupada's present things as it is. Any questions?
Prabhuji, Lord Krishna spoke Gita in one flow.
Yes.
So how it was divided into chapters?
So Vyasadeva. When Vyasadeva penned it down, so he divided into chapters.
Let's say Kurukshetra means why it came.
Huh?
Dharmakshetra we understood because so many sacrifices has been. Kurukshetra.
Now that place name was Kurukshetra right from start. It was not because anything related to Kauravas. Kurukshetra. That place name was Kurukshetra.
Just one, I don't know whether it's valid, but as you said that the Kshatriya spirit is to fight and get it. But Duryodhan, so many times, like the Lakshadra, say, wanted to put it on fire. That was no fight.
Correct.
He tried to snatch it, and so
Correct.
how can we?
So that is, Dhritarashtra's and Duryodhan's crooked mind, by which they were not able to understand that we are not following the principles of Kshatriya. But now, when the fight was about to happen, fight, everyone is assembled there. They wanted the fight to happen because challenge is there. At that time, they were having that crooked thing that will kill them. Huh? Shakuni and whatever. Now, on the battlefield, when people have assembled, there's a challenge, and Kshatriyas have to take challenge. Like that, based on that. Okay, so we'll take 5 minutes break and then we'll start with the next section, that is Duryodhana's diplomacy. Dhritarashtra is a very unqualified person. He should be qualified also, no? So Sanjay was that qualified person because of his service and his mood. He got that. Just go around, hang around, drink some water, come back. We'll meet at 8:40. Sure. I'll add you as a. I'll add you as a. What do you call it? Manager.
Okay. Syllabus it has to be unlisted. Not everyone can see it. Oh, no.
Okay, everyone, please come back.
Remove.
Yes. So Dinesh Boy's class monitor representative. Yes, bro, get them. Okay, we'll start. So now we are seeing the second section, that is from shloka number 2 onwards, 2 to 11. So we'll read translation and we'll read the purports. Where is the mic? You can start again from the first. I guess Mataji is remaining. Give it to her. Second shloka. Huh? From the purport, translation and purport you read. Sanjaya said, page number 35.
Sanjaya said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following words. Purport. Drashtas was blind from birth. Unfortunately, he was also bereft of spiritual vision. He knew very well that his sons were equally blind in the matter of religion, and he was sure that they could never reach an understanding with the Pandavas, who were all pure since birth. Still, he was doubtful about the influence of place of pilgrimage, and Sanjay could understand his motive in asking about the situation on the battlefield.
So basically, he knew he was blind, internally, externally, all blind, and he had a doubt. He was sure that they will not compromise, but still he had a doubt because of the influence of the place. So what Sanjay did?
Sanjay wanted, therefore, to encourage the despondent king and thus assured him that his sons were not going to make any sort of compromise under the influence of the holy place. Sanjay therefore informed the king that his sons Duryodhan, after seeing the military force of the Pandavas at once, went to the commander in chief Dronacharya to inform him of the real position. Although Duryodhana is mentioned as the king, he still had to go to the commander on account of the seriousness of the situation. He was therefore quite fit to be a politician. But Duryodhana's diplomatic villain could not disguise the fear he felt when he saw the military arrangement of the Pandavas.
So here again we can see Prabhupada's as it is mood. This is from Baldev Vidya Bhushan. Read. Mataji, read from here.
Srila Prabhupada, as it is moved, the pious Sanjay could understand that Dhritarashtra, blind from birth but having the eyes of wisdom, was now blind with illusion because of laws of wisdom concerning dharma. He was thus worried that his son would give the kingdom to the Pandavas. Therefore, understanding this, Sanjaya fixed this in dharma, gave satisfaction to Dhritarashtra by saying that his son would certainly not give the kingdom to the Pandavas.
So in the first few lines, if you read in the purport, Prabhupada is just giving this thing as the essence, in the purport. Here it is. Dhritarashtra was blind from his birth. Unfortunately, he was bereft of spiritual vision. Same thing is what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is also saying. Now blind with illusion because of loss of wisdom concerning dharma. He knew very well that his sons were equally blind in the matter of religion, and he was sure that they could never reach an understanding. But still, he had a doubt because of the influence, and therefore Sanjay wanted to encourage the despondent king, and he assured him that his sons were not going to make any sort of compromise under the influence of holy place. See, what is the Prabhupada doing? Therefore, it is called as it is. This paragraph you can easily see in this. Here is a question. So here there is a word that is used, Raja Vachanam Abravit. So Sanjay is saying that Duryodhan, he went to his teacher Dronacharya and he spoke. For Duryodhan, he is using the word Raja. Raja Vachanam Abravit. Still the fight has not happened. Still the fight has not happened. Kingdom is not won. Why is he called as Raja then? To pacify the Dhritarashtra. Tension mat le, tera beta banega. Your son will be the king. No. What else? He's Okay, he's in Duryodhana's team, so he's considering him as Raja. Okay.
He was representing Hastinapur, and Pandavas are the one who was fighting against Hastinapur. So
But still, the kingdom is still not one, so he cannot be called as Raja on based on that point. So Prabhupada is writing here, see, he says, he was therefore quite fit to be a politician. Because of his diplomacy, he was quite fit to be a politician. This line of Prabhupada is taken from Baldev Vidyabhushan. Now, where he says, he was expert in politics or Rajaniti, Baldev Vidyabhushan writes. So since he was expert in Rajaniti, he is called as Raja here. I hope this point is clear. Now let's go to the next one. Huh? Yeah, books are there. Bhanuswami Maharaj is translated from Sanskrit to English. It's there. Okay, can we go ahead? Verse number 3. We'll recite together. So together. Pashyaitam Panduputranam Acharya Mahatim Chamum Vyudham Drupada Putrena Tava Shishyena Dhimata. Retranslation purport. Who has the mic?
Hare Krishna. O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. Purport. Duryodhana, a great diplomat, wanted to point out the effects of Dronacharya, the great Brahmana commander in the chief. Dronacharya had some political quarrel with the king Drupada, father of Draupadi, who was Arjuna's wife. As a result of his quarrel, Drupada performed a great sacrifice by which he received the benediction of having a son who would be able to kill Dronacharya. Dronacharya knew this perfectly well, and yet as a liberal Brahmana, he did not hesitate to impart of all his military secrets when the son of Drupada. The Drishyamma was entrusted to him for military education. Now on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Drishyamna took the side of the Pandavas, and it was he who arranged for the military planets after having learned the art from Dronacharya. The Duryodhana pointed out its mistake of Dronacharya so that he might be alert and uncompromising in the fighting. By this, he wanted to point out also that he should not be similarly lenient in the battle against the Pandavas, who were also Dronacharya affectionate students. Arjuna, especially, was his most affectionate and brilliant student. Duryodhana also warned that such leniency in the fight would lead to defeat.
So here, instead of saying Drishtadyumna, he says Drupada Putrena. Why this word Drupada Putrena is used? Because of that story which we all know, and some of you might not, so I'll just tell that in short. Drupad Maharaj, Drupad and Drona, they were childhood friends. And once, just like that, Drupad gave a promise, to Drona that I'll give you half of my kingdom in future when I'll become the king. And both of them grew up. So here, this person, Drupad, he became Drupad Maharaj, and Drona became Dronacharya, a Brahmana. So he was a Kshatriya and he's a Brahmana. So when it comes to Dronacharya being a Brahmana, he was poor. His kids was struggling for milk. And then he remembered, oh, he was about to give me half of the kingdom. I don't want half of the kingdom. One cow I want. Then he went to ask, oh, my dear friend, Drupad. And he said, friend, friendship happens on equal platform. Where am I and where are you? And at that time, Dronacharya really became very offended. He went and his students were Kauravas at that time, Kauravas and Pandavas. So he sent Kauravas, go and fight with him. But when Kauravas went, so at that time Drupad defeated Kauravas. And then he sent his student Arjun, you go and fight with him. So Arjun defeated and dragged him to Dronacharya. And he said, now I'll take half of the kingdom. So now, kingdom gone, it's okay. But Drupad Maharaj, he got really offended now. Before Dronacharya was offended, now Drupad Maharaj got offended. He said, they insulted me like this. He was Kshatriya, no? Blood boils when someone insults. So he did a yajna to kill Dronacharya. And two personalities came out of the yajna. The first one was a female. Her Her name was Draupadi. And second one was the male, Drishtadyumna. Drishtadyumna was meant to kill Dronacharya. See, here is a very important point. Everyone, including Dronacharya, knew Drishtadyumna is begotten to kill him. But still, when Drupad Papa went with his son for admission in the school, so at that time, the school teacher Dronacharya, he didn't say that I know I'll not take. He accepted. Even after accepting, just imagine if we were there in that place, we would have not taught him everything. We would have hidden few things. But Dronacharya, he taught everything, all the military arts to Drishtadyumna. This is the glory of our Vedic culture. Everyone does their duty properly. They don't care about their life. They care about the duty. They care about dharma. And that's what we see here very nicely. So Duryodhana knew this perfectly well, and yet as a liberal Brahmana, he did not hesitate to impart all his military secrets when the son of Drupad, Drishtadyumna, was entrusted to him for military education. Now, what is the diplomacy of, that's what we're discussing, diplomacy of Duryodhana. So what is the diplomacy here? Prabhupada tells in this class. Please read.
Hare Krishna. Pashyetam Pandaputranam Acharya Bhagavad Gita 1.3. My dear teacher, just see how many military soldiers are standing there on behalf of the Pandavas, and they have been arranged by your disciple who is meant for killing you. So just remember that means you become more strong that this boy and the other party may not kill you. But Duryodhana does not know that the death does not depend on military strength or bodily strength. When death will come, nobody can check. Death is God. When Krishna desires that this man should be killed now or he must die now, nobody can check. Rakhe Krishna mare Krishna rakhe ke. If Krishna desires to kill somebody, nobody can give him protection, no power. And if he wants to save somebody, nobody can kill him. This is Krishna's protection.
So what was the diplomacy? By telling Drupada Putrena, he's telling him, you already did one mistake. You accepted this person, you trained him, because of you, the military is created there. Now don't do the second mistake of compromising and not fighting and not giving your best only because your favorites are there on the other side. No. So don't do the second mistake. Just by using this word Drupada Putrena, this diplomacy is used. Wherein Dronacharya is encouraged and his anger is triggered. That's what here our Duryodhan is doing. Again, the next shloka number 4. So after telling this, then he starts telling some more things. He says, shloka number 4. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen, equal in fighting with Bhima and Arjun, great fighters like Yudhana, Virata, and Drupada. Again, he mentions the word Drupada. But here, see, he's talking, Arjun is understood. He's the hero. He's a great fighter. But Bhima's name is also mentioned here. Very important to note. Bhima's name is mentioned. Why is Bhima's name mentioned here? There are a few things to know. Because he had taken 3 vows. Bhima had taken 3 vows. The first vow was he'll kill all the 100 sons of the Dhritarashtra. Second vow that he had taken was when Draupadi had come in that Vastraharan time, when Draupadi was dragged by Dushasan. So at that time, Dushasan pulled her, with the hair. And at that time, when all this incident happened, Draupadi had taken a vow that, yes, she'll wash her hair with the blood shampoo. Yes. Can you imagine? Kshatriyani, she's called Shatrani. The blood of a Kshatriyani is also boiling. Like, I'll wash my hair with the blood of Dushasana. So this was second vow, that I'll tear apart Dushasan's chest and remove the heart and drink his blood. Not drinking actually, he's vegetarian, he's Krishnatarian. So to get the blood to wash Draupadi's hair. And the third vow that he had taken was, when Draupadi had come like that, dragged by Dushasan, at that time Duryodhan, he uncovered his thighs and he pointed, saying, sit on my thigh. And at that time, Bhima, he took a vow that I'll break his thigh. So these were the three vows that he had taken, and Duryodhan knew very well what were the three vows. And here, out of fear, he's saying, out of fear, there are great warriors like Bhima and Arjun. Look at this word, Bhima Arjuna. He could have said Arjuna and Bhima, but the fear is so much that he uses the word Bhima first and then Arjuna later. Bhima Arjuna. And who are the other warriors? Yudhana, Virata, and Drupad. And then he continues in shloka number 5. He names few more people. You look in your books, shloka number 5. There are also great heroic, powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashi Raja, Purajit, Kunti Bhoja, and Shaibya. And then he continues in shloka number 6, where he says, there are many mighty Yudhama, the very powerful Uttamauja, the son of Subhadra. Who is son of Subhadra? Huh? Abhimanyu. That was the name of here given, Uttamauja. And the sons of Draupadi. How many sons were there, Draupadi? 5 sons were there. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. So it's very nice that he's naming so many. And here in shloka number 6, you see the word Saubhadro Draupadeyascha Sarva Eva Maharatha. So he's naming Maharathis here. For your information, Maharatha, there are different personalities. Atiratha, Maharatha, Ratha, Ardharatha. There are many terminologies like this. Maharatha basically means a person who can single-handedly fight with 10,000 archers. And Atiratha is greater than that. In one place I read 60,000 archers. And Ratha means 1-to-1. I'll fight with one person. And Ardharatha means I cannot fight one person also. I need some support. The Ardharatha. So now Duryodhan is naming Maharathis from the other side. And so he named all these different people. And then after naming all these people and telling there's so many people on the other side, so Dronacharya, give your best. Give your best. Don't compromise. Don't show your sympathy towards your favorite student on the other side. But then, if you keep praising your own party, others, opposite party, there's high probability that oneself or his team might get demotivated. Then he starts speaking about his party. He says, but for your information of best of Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. And then he starts naming. See, look at 8 shloka number 8. See the translation where he says, Bhavan Bhishmascha Karanascha. So first thing he says, Bhavan, you. Oh Dronacharya, you are there on my side. And then he says, Bhishma. Hey, he could have told Bhishma first, no? Why is he saying Drona first? You and Bhishma. Bhishma is also there. Bhishma is hearing whatever he is speaking. Why? What is the diplomacy here? Huh? Butter up, but then Bhishma is present there. He's also there, a great soldier.
Dronacharya is a Brahmana and Bhishma is a Kshatriya.
This is the point. So now Bhishma will not feel bad because he's following the etiquette. He's telling Brahmana and then he's talking about Kshatriya. And then he talks about Karna. Karna, all of us know. Yes. Then Kripacharya basically. Ashwathama. Now Karna is clear. Kripa and Ashwathama. What is the relation of Kripacharya, Ashwathama with Dronacharya? Huh? Kripacharya is maternal uncle and Ashwathama is. So basically Dronacharya, he's glorifying these people and telling Dronacharya, see, they are also there on our side. So get ready. But then he names Vikarna. Now Vikarna is nowhere in comparison to Dronacharya, Bhishma, or Karna, but still his name Vikarna is there. Who is Vikarna, by the way? Brother of Duryodhan. So why? He was the only one who opposed at the time of Draupadi's Vastraharan. So he wanted to make sure that this one person out of 100, this one person who opposed, he also should be there in our party. So he was glorifying everyone. Even Vikarna is there on our side, so we will win for sure. Huh? No, I don't know about this. Is it? Okay. Okay. and the son of Somadatta called Bhurishrava, who are always victorious in battle. So he's saying tension मतलब हमारे side भी है बहुत सारे. And he strategically, see, look at the name. Strategically, he's naming everyone.
Actually, Vicar did not change. You also changed. You also was his.
Yeah, Vikarna was killed by.
Okay.
Vikarna was killed by him only, but you also changed.
Okay. Okay. उसका नाम नहीं लिया इसलिए. Okay, shloka number 9. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their life for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons and all are experienced in military science. See this Sanskrit line in 9th shloka. Nana Shastra Praharanaha Sarve Yuddha Visharadaha. They're very expert, but Madarthe Tyakta Jevita. He's saying, for me, they're ready to give up their life. And the actual meaning, if you go, this is contextual meaning. The actual meaning is they've already given up their life. That's what Prabhupada is saying here. In other words, look at the purport. In other words, it is already concluded that all of them would die in the battle of Kurukshetra for joining the party of sinful Duryodhana. So that's the meaning. So what happens is, Saraswati Devi, she speaks the right words at the right time to get the right context. And here she is speaking, anyway, they're all going to be killed. And he's saying, Mother te tyakta jivita. For me, they've already been killed. And now 10th shloka that is there, please repeat. Or we can read it together, everyone. 10th shloka. Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma virakshitam paryaptam tvamidam balam bhima virakshitam. So what is he saying? Our strength is immeasurable and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. See here, aparyaptam, word to word meaning, Prabhupada writes, immeasurable. So he's saying Bhishma is on our side and his strength is immeasurable. But when it comes to Bhima, paryaptam, that is insignificant. Or what is the word to word meaning? Paryaptam, limited. So on our side, Bhishma is there. See, Drona he took, again he took Bhishma's name also in the sloka number 6, 8. Now exclusively he is taking Bhishma on one side. Why was he worried about Drona and Bhishma so much?
Because they were inclined to Pandavas.
Obviously, the teacher and the grandfather. It is described that Arjun, would come and sit on the lap of Bhishma and say, Papa, Papa. And he'd say, No, I am not your Papa, I am Grandpa. So that discussion would happen. So they were very close, very, very close, to Dronacharya and Bhishma. So he wanted to make sure these two don't have any soft corner for other side people and they're on my side. So he's saying, on my side, Bhishma is there, whose power is immeasurable, but unke there Bhima. But this Bhima is, putting his hand on the heart and saying, Bhima. Because Bhima was the one who was going to devour them, and he was knowing very well. If someone who can fight, and Prabhupada writes here in the purport, see, Duryodhan was always envious of Bhima because he knew perfectly well that if he should die at all, he would die only killed by Bhima. Now here there's there's a play of words also. Aparyaptam. What is the meaning of aparyaptam in Hindi or in Sanskrit? Aparyaptam. Huh? Aparyaptam. No. Not sufficient. Not enough, not sufficient. So he's saying aparyaptam. We don't have sufficient strength. Paryaptam, they have sufficient strength. So here Saraswati Devi is speaking in the context to create the right context. Aparyaptam, unke paas zyada strength. Sorry, we don't have enough strength, but paryaptam, they have enough strength. Okay, shloka number 11. So we'll recite. Anyeshu cha sarveshu yatha bhagam avastita bhishmam eva bhirakshanto bhavantah sarva eva hi. Now he got Drona, he got Bhishma, he's still naming only Maharathis and Atirathis. What about Rathis and Ardharathis and foot soldiers, other foot soldiers? So now just to get all of them, now this personality Duryodhan, he's making this and he says, all of you looking at all the soldiers, How many Akshaonis? 11 Akshaoni soldiers. So he's talking to all of them and he's saying, all of you must now give full support to grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the flanks of the army. Now, this is a very important thing. Okay, by the way, in the previous, I forgot, when he's talking about aparyaptam and paryaptam, this is a very nice thing. He was pointing to Dronacharya on his side and he was saying, aparyaptam, aparyaptam. We don't have enough strength because Bhishma is he's old, no, so we don't have enough sufficient strength. So Drona, you don't make any compromise in fighting. You fight properly. So he made that diplomatic point there, in that line. And in this, he's telling all the soldiers, why you stand in a strategic position. Why? Prabhupada writes here. He emphasized that, look at the purport and find out that line. He emphasized that Bhishma Dev was undoubtedly the greatest hero, but he was an old man. So everyone must especially think of his protection from all sides. He might become engaged in the fight and the enemy might take advantage of his full engagement on one side. Therefore, it was important that other heroes not leave the strategic positions and allow the enemy to break the fence. It's a very important thing where he's saying that you all are very important. This person is old man. You should all stand in your strategic position and give him protection and you should fight properly. What is that?
That is that Duryodhana knew that as long as Bhishma is there in the battlefield, I will be alive.
Correct.
The moment Bhishma dies, I will also be
Correct. Yes. Please read this, whoever has the mic. Okay, by the way, see, Bhagavad Gita is going on. So many people are named. What is the use of so many? See, why is okay? Why so many? There's so many people named. This Bhagavad Gita, no? Krishna's word should be there. What is the use of chanting these holy names from this party, that party? What do we want to get? So in all these slokas, you see so many names are there. And here Prabhupada tells in the lecture in London, he's giving this lecture and he's making this point. Please read.
So people may ask that by mentioning these great fighters, what spiritual progress we make? Because we are meant for chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So by chanting the names of these great fighters, what do we gain? The question may be raised there. But the thing is that Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe, whenever there is connection with Krishna, that also becomes Krishna. So these warriors' name mentioning, we should not neglect. Krishna wanted to gather all the demoniac power in the battlefield of Kurukshetra and kill them. That was his plan.
So basically, all of them are related to the Lord. And just by chanting these holy names, thinking about them, because they are related to Krishna, and Krishna got them, we will progress on the path of Bhakti. See, so deep, no? So therefore you should do Bhakti Shastri. Then we'll understand, these deeper meanings which are there. Okay. Now, from shloka number 12 to shloka number 20, we'll do activity now. So, in the group of 4, you can just divide yourself in group of 4, and you're supposed to get answers to this question. What are the signs of victory for Pandavas? And second, what was the reaction of both the parties when each of them started blowing their conch? See, here, in the 12th shloka, Bhishma starts blowing his conch shell. Just see, what is the name of Bhishma's conch is not given, but it said Dadmao Shankho. Very loudly blew the conch. And then after that, everyone started blowing the conch and then beating the drums and so many other instruments. Now just imagine what will be the entire atmosphere there. Everyone there is blowing their conch and all that. So what does that mean? Blowing the conch and beating the drums and all that? The war is about to begin. That's the meaning there. And then we have Arjuna and Krishna. So just see what is Krishna's in shloka number 15. What was Krishna's conch shell's name? Panchajanya. Arjuna's? Bhima's? Poundrak. Yes. And after that we have in 16 to 18, the next shloka. Yudhishthir's conch name was? Yudhishthir. Ananta Vijaya. Nakul and Sahadev. Nakul's Sughosha and Sahadev Mani Pushpaka. And after that, there are many others who blew their own conch shell. So now, divide in groups of 4 and take 10 minutes. And you people have to tell me what are the signs of victory for Pandavas, in which shloka it is given, and what was the reaction of both the parties. So when here Kauravas blew the conch shell, what happened to Pandavas? And when Pandavas blew the conch shell, what happened to Kauravas? This is what you're supposed to tell. Yes, come on, fast. You have exactly 10 minutes. Just move your chairs, read the purport, translation purport, and quickly get the answer. So please read the translation and purport and then find the answer. Just skim through, you'll get it. Some hint, shloka number 14 and 20, you will find the signs of victory. And shloka number 19, you will find the reaction. You have to tell me the Sanskrit words also, huh? Why those signs you are telling? So you'll find it in the shloka. Okay, 3 more minutes. If you're done, you can turn your chairs. Okay, done everyone? Turn your chairs. So, what are the signs of victory? Now, one at a time, raise your hand and then you can tell. Yes, go. Krishna is present. So, which is that Sanskrit word by which you're saying Krishna is present? Okay. And also in the purport, you find that line Jayastu Pandu Putranam Yesham Pakshe Janardhana. So who is there on the side of Arjun? Janardhana. Krishna is there. So first, Krishna is there. Second, what is the word? How do you say goddess of fortune is there? Madhav. So what? Why Madhav? What is the thing? Husband of goddess of fortune. So Madhavi is the name of Lakshmi, goddess of fortune. So Madhav. So goddess of fortune is present. Third, Kapit Dhvaja. That is there in shloka number 20. So very nicely Prabhupada says here that the emblem of Hanuman on the flag of Arjuna is another sign of victory. This shloka number 20. Yeah? Because Hanuman cooperated with Lord Ram in the battle between Ram and Ravan, and Lord Ram emerged victorious. Now both Ram and Hanuman were present on the chariot of Arjun to help him. So obviously he's supposed to be victorious. Yes. Okay, next. Chariot given by Agni. So basically, now there was a fire which Agni Dev had set in the forest. Which one? Khandav. And who was the one who wanted to extinguish the fire? Indra. Indra wanted to extinguish the fire to save Takshak. So at that time, at that time Agni was told by Brahmadev that you go to Arjun and take his help. So at that time, Agni had given this chariot. And this chariot speciality is given conquer all the sides. The chariot was capable of conquering all the sides wherever it was drawn over the three worlds. Okay, what is the other? Any other sign that you see? Yes? So you said Madhav, you said chariot, you said Kapi Dvaja, you said okay, Arjuna is there. But Arjuna के लिए कौन सा sign है? That's the question. In 14th verse, there is a word, 14th verse. What did they do? They blew their just the conch. Transcendental conch, Divya Shankha, transcendental conch. And here, very nicely it is given that the sounding of the transcendental conch shells, look at the purport. The sounding of the transcendental conch shells indicated that there was no hope of the victory for the other side because Krishna was there on the side of Pandava. So in this way, we have these signs of victory. In shloka number 15, you see the different names which are given. Rishikesha. What do you mean by Rishikesha? Lord of or controller of senses. Rishik means senses, Isha means controller. So here, see, Prabhupada writes a very important point. The Lord is situated in the hearts of every living entities, directs their senses, but he directs in terms of surrender of the living entity. And in case of a pure devotee, he directly controls the senses. Yes. So if we want Krishna to control us in this life towards himself, so depending on the proportion of surrender, Krishna will control. Why? Because wherever there is love, there is no force. And Krishna has so much of love for us, unconditional love that he'll never force. Unless and until we surrender to Krishna and tell, like Arjun, take the ropes of my life in your hand and control, Krishna will not do that till then. Yes? So depending on surrender. So Rishikesha. Dhananjaya. Who is Dhananjaya? Arjun is called as Dhananjaya because Prabhupada writes, because he helped his, this is second paragraph, shloka number 15. Because he helped his elder brother in fetching wealth when it was required by the king to make expenditures for different sacrifices. Bhima is called as, in this verse, Vrikodhara, because he could eat voraciously. He just eat, he'd perform Herculean tasks. जितना खाते थे, उतना सेवा भी करते थे. Now, what happened to both the parties? So when Bhishma blew the conch shell, what happened on the side of Kauravas and Pandavas? Shloka number 12. When Bhishma, nothing happened. On Kaurava side also nothing happened. Huh? When Bhishma blew the conch shell, what happened to Kauravas? No, Bhishma was on the side of Kaurava. Bhishma. When Bhishma blew the conch shell, you said nothing happened on the side of Pandavas. So when you blew the conch shell, something happened on the side of Kauravas? Duryodhana was very happy. He was joyful. So blowing of conch of Bhishma has three things that is given. First one is it gave Duryodhan joy. This comes in shloka number 12. And the second thing that Baldev Vidyabhushan says is, according to Kshatriya Dharma, when someone blows the conch, it means he's declaring, I'm ready to give up my life for this battle. And third thing, which Prabhupada writes in this purport, indirectly, did you find that word? Indirectly. Shloka number 12, purport. Indirectly, by symbolism of the conch shell, he informed his depressed grandson Duryodhan that he had no chance of victory in the battle. So Duryodhan was happy. So when Bhishma blew the conch shell, on the Kaurava side, Duryodhan was happy. Now in shloka number 19, if you go, so what happened when the Pandavas blew the conch shell? Krishna, Arjun, Bhima, Yudhishthir, Nakul, Sahadev, and all of them, when they blew the conch shell, what happened? What does it say? It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. But my question is, when Bhishma, when he blew the conch, when Kauravas blew the conch, why nothing happened on the side of Pandavas? They were dependent on Krishna. See, there's a very important point which Prabhupada is making, shloka number 19, very important for all the devotees. So why their hearts were shattered and why not the Pandavas? Here it is said, due to the Pandavas and their confidence in Lord Krishna. So when we have confidence in Lord Krishna, we will always be stable. And last line, very, very important, in shloka number 19. One who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord has nothing to fear even in the midst of the greatest calamity. These lines now we should make some frame and put in our houses here and there. Purport. People will ask, what is purport? Where is it coming from? One who takes shelter of Supreme Lord has nothing to fear even in the midst of the greatest calamity. Therefore, we as devotees, every single day, we have to take shelter of the Lord. We are preparing for the final calamity in our life. That is, all of us are preparing. Yes. And everyday preparation, when we everyday prepare by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, by doing these various, going deep in Shastra, what happens? Naturally, we'll start getting faith on the Lord. Like Arjuna had faith, like Bhima and others had faith on Krishna. And obviously, we'll be saved. Not just the last, that is death, even in between, there will be so many junctures in our life where calamities will be there. So, when we have faith on the Lord, we'll easily cross over those calamities. So therefore, here it is, a nice point is made. The last line, we'll read it again. One who takes shelter of Supreme Lord has nothing to fear, even in the midst of the greatest calamity. So we have discussed this section, the signs of victory, the shloka number 20. Have any questions? Anyone?
You said like Bhishma Dev when he blew the conch shell, right? I mean, Duryodhana felt happy again, right? But then, but it said indirectly he was indicating that they are going to lose, right? How do we understand that? Like how other side did they, like Arjuna, Pandavas thought that okay, Duryodhana is going to.
Prabhupada answers this question in the purport itself. So in shloka number 12, so basically, somewhere I read this. The conch shell represents Vishnu. I think in the Acharya's commentary it is there that conch shell represents Vishnu. Just a minute. Shloka number 12. So basically, the conch shell represents Vishnu. So when he's blowing, so he's saying on the side of Kauravas, sorry, on the side of Pandavas, who is there? Vishnu himself, Krishna, the source of Vishnu is present there. So victory is theirs, like that.
One question: Dronacharya is a Brahmana, right? Then why did he go and fight?
This was my question also. I'm so fortunate I had these questions, so I could answer your question now. Firstly, see, one thing is that he was a teacher. Second thing, he was asked by the king to fight. He was asked, and he was obliged to fight. Why Dronacharya was obliged to fight on the side of Duryodhan? Because he's eating in the house of Duryodhan. Duryodhan ka namak khaya tha Dronacharya. And third thing is when apatkal is there. So Brahmana can take the role of a Kshatriya, Vaishya, but not of a Shudra. That's the principle. Anything else? Okay, it's 9:30. So we'll end for today. I hope you had a nice time going deep in the first 20 verses of Bhagavad Gita and the preface, yes, and various other things. And understanding the mood of Srila Prabhupada's as it is mood. Hope that is clear. So now next time when we meet, we're going to complete this chapter from shloka number 21 to 46. So we'll cover these shlokas and try to understand Krishna's Bhakta Vatsal mood. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.